Let's keep talking about this now with Jonathan Schanzer, Senior Vice President for Research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. President Trump had Secretary Pompeo in Iraq, I think it was just last week. These warnings sound like they're very serious. Obviously, they're to be taken seriously when you have personnel in the region. What do you know about this?
Well, here's what we know, that there was some kind of foreign intelligence report that was handed off to the United States. It's unclear exactly who, rumored that it was possibly the Israelis, and that this put the United States on higher alert. I think there is a possibility that our European allies have not actually seen this report. Just because we're Five Eyes doesn't mean that we're allowed to share other people's intelligence. So it's possible that this explains the discrepancy between the UK and US positions. But let's not forget here that we actually shut down our consulate in Basra back in September. We've been taking measures up until now to try to counter some of these potential Iranian threats, which have been consistent now for years.
But tell me, when we closed down the Basra location, was that because of threats?
Yes, absolutely. It was because of credible threats. Now, the question is, are we looking right now at something that is more of a threat? Is there something that's more specific? Is there something that's Baghdad specific? Again, we have not seen any of this, but certainly it's caused the Trump administration enough concern to begin to take some action.
You heard Senator Menendez there say that they're a little bit in the dark. They don't exactly know what's going on. Senator Tom Cotton was on with Margaret Hoover yesterday. This is what he had to say about it.
Could we win a war with Iran?
Yes.
That didn't take you a second.
2 strikes, the first strike and the last strike. I don't advocate military action against Iran. I'm simply delivering the message that if Iran were to attack the United States, it would be a grave miscalculation on their part, and there would be a furious response.
You never want to see these things be partisan, but take a listen to Senator Sanders, who had this to say.
Let me be as clear as I can be. A war with Iran would be an absolute disaster. I am working hard to see if we can get 51 members of the U.S. Senate, as well as a majority in the House of Representatives, to make clear that before the president takes any military action in Iran or any place else, he must seek authorization from the Congress.
Now, Senator Sanders has been consistent on that point for a while. The AUMF, they say that is not good enough, with the one going back to 2001. But is anyone really talking about 120,000 troops going to Iran?
Well, no, and I think it's important to point out here that there's a lot of speculation, but this doesn't seem to be stemming from direct comments coming from the Trump administration or from Iran. Yes, there are tensions. Yes, there's reason to be concerned, especially when Iran says that it's willing to, or it's considering going back to enriching uranium. The discussion about the 120,000 troops was a contingency in response to that threat. In other words, the Trump administration has said that it could deploy 120,000 troops if Iran decides to go in this direction. But right now, this is all rhetorical.
Right.
It's really hard to pinpoint exactly where all this escalation is coming from, but not from the 2 principal actors.
Let me talk about the third actor, and that would be Iraq. They have a relatively new government. Tell me how they are doing in terms of governance of their own country and dealing with an agitated neighbor.
Look, Iraq remains a challenge. It's obviously dominated in large part by Iran. It was one of the, I think, the big mistakes that we made in allowing Iran to get that kind of influence in that country. In particular, we're concerned about the PMUs, these popular mobilization units, Shiite militias, and these are Shiite militias that have dubious alliances, that in some ways they're still allied with Iraq, and they're fighting on behalf of Iraq, but they have these ties back to Iran, and that has been of serious concern to us for some time now. And it could be these PMUs, these Shiite militias, that are posing the threat that is being discussed right now on these classified channels.
All right, well, we appreciate your expertise. Jonathan Schanzer, thank you.
Anytime.